Welcome to Arkham. I'm your host, Ryan, and thank you for tuning in today. So, today we are going to discuss the trend of Hitler going viral on TikTok. Yeah, that's happening. So, I guess his speeches are going viral. We'll talk about that and some of the implications of that. We'll also talk about cultural losers. Um, today's topic of discussion will be Phil Vischer, who is the creator of a popular children's show, Veggie Tales, and his reaction to Matt Walsh's "Am I a Racist?" We'll also be discussing Sweet Baby Inc., who is a organization that is nefarious for woking up video games. In addition to that, we will talk about Zuckerberg and his transition to becoming a libertarian. So, yeah, all that today and more on Arkham. So, if you like this content, please like, share, subscribe, do all of the things that really helps me grow. I love hearing from you guys. I love the support I'm getting. And by the way, just a quick update with my X account. So there has been no movement on it, and we'll talk about a little bit more about my ban a little bit later. But there's been no movement on it. But I did create a new account, so it's rcam_media. You can follow me there. I would greatly appreciate you helping me rebuild from the ashes, and hopefully we can return to our former glory. I'm already getting connected with a lot of the people that I was following previously, so that's good news. All right, let's talk about this first story. All right, so we hear a lot about anti-Semitism, and sometimes I think too much, to be honest with you. I don't think things like this help that cause. So this is a story from the New York Post. Hitler's translated speeches go viral on TikTok in troubling trend. That's not good. All right. So actually, hold on. We'll get back to this. We're going to read the New York Post article first, and then we'll go to the Media Matters, because they ultimately pull from Media Matters. So misguided TikTokers are using AI to translate Adolf Hitler's speeches into English and racking up millions of clicks on the Under Fire platform, according to Watchdog Media Group. Users have pushed and even celebrated the Nazi leader's remarks in what is an apparent violation of TikTok's guidelines that ban promoting, including any praise, celebration, or sharing of manifestos, or providing material support to individuals who cause serial or mass violence or promote hateful ideology. So I will be honest and just transparent here. That's kind of, I don't know, that's a little vague. So the obviously serial or mass violence, that's not good. Okay, that's bad. You don't do that. All right, but promote hateful ideologies according to whose standard? Because I'm pretty sure TikTok is a platform that will ban you, that will give you strikes for correctly identifying that men cannot be women. So that would be a hateful ideology. So I don't like that. That bothers me. And I'm not going to, sit here and tout TikTok as a free speech platform. They're not. And this would give them blanket to ban you basically for whatever reason they want. But it is a little unnerving that, people are looking at Adolf Hitler starry-eyed. And I think that's not a good situation. So one disturbing clip garnered more than 1 million views before it was squashed, Media Matters reported last week. And I think we have that clip right here. So we'll just, man, I'm worried. No, wait, I'm on Rumble. So I'll be okay. Which, by the way, all right, TikTok, not a free speech platform. Facebook, not a free speech platform. Instagram, not a free speech platform. Twitter, X, not a free speech platform. Rumble, free speech all the way, baby. I can actually do legitimate commentary where I don't have to self-censor. I don't have to tone down my rhetoric or censor things out to appease the feelings of whatever crazy wokey is on TikTok or X. I can say exactly what I want, and I can play speeches that are otherwise banned on TikTok. So let's play this speech and see what all the fuss is about.
You know, I didn't do that for months. I didn't drop a bomb on Paris. I asked for surrender 5 times before we attacked Warsaw. Everything was refused. I asked that the women and children be sent out of the area. Not even the parliamentarian was received. Everything was rejected. And only then did I decide to do what is permitted under any martial law. When the English started dropping bombs, I waited a month or 2 and did nothing. We were already strong enough to do it. I waited. I thought maybe reason would return after all. It was different. You think it's not different today?
Yeah, so there's no doubt that, Hitler was a charismatic speaker. No one's going to argue that, but look at what some of these people are saying, man. Well, some TikTok users express skepticism in the comments about this portrayal of Hitler. Other comments embraced this fantasy. Some users wrote he was a hero. Winners write history. The great painter. Maybe he is not the villain. The painter is presumably a reference to the Nazi leader's failed art career. Yeah, he did fail. He did have a failed art career. A lot of people don't know that. I miss Uncle A. Jesus. Man. While Media Matters was viewing this video, TikTok search prompting suggested the search the painter English speech, indicating that the platform was reducing friction for users to find more of Hitler's speeches. It seemed like he wanted what we should do for America. Many people I know got banned law for agreeing with things that he wanted for his people. I get wanting to, I get we want, to prioritize our country's citizens first, but I don't think we should do that at the expense of genociding an entire group of people. So I do think we need to, that's something that we do need to remember. And it seems like this is kind of an attempt, at least, from the little bit that I'm looking into, romanticize the good aspects of him for the speeches like this without recognizing the horrific evil that he was capable of and that he exacted on innocent people. Another video using the same sound, which has since been taken down, featured a visuals of cliffs by water and the hashtag True Nature Europe 1161, seemingly a right-wing dog whistle for anti-fascist action. The video had at least 22,700 likes and over 270,000 views prior to the removal. Some users commented, Adolf Hitler was a good and No. Now I know why they didn't translate this before, and this changed my views on him. This just shows you the tremendous power in social media and the tremendous power that that giving this technology to your everyday person has, because it can completely just shift the narrative. And I don't think this is being used in a good way. I would prefer, we didn't have these edits and they just post the speech as it is. I wrote, I'm not saying he was a good man. I know, I get that. And I understand what you're saying. All right. So, like, on the one hand, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with, wanting to, have nationalistic pride of your country. I think that's fine. I think we need a little bit more of that in our country. But, I draw the line, like, at exterminating entire groups of people to accomplish. So, yeah. All right. Some TikTok users were quick to turn on the audio into a meme that appeared to mock Hitler for feigning innocence. For instance, in one video with 2.4 million views, a user lip syncs to an AI generated Hitler speech with text on screen reading when I don't know. Well, that's funny. So, yeah, this is a little weird, and it just leads me to believe that people are very easily manipulated, and TikTok is a fantastic platform to do that. I mean, they can turn any villain in history into a hero. I wouldn't be surprised if eventually we're seeing stories, well, or TikTok edits of, pharisaical speeches about how Jesus was really, a bad guy, and the Jews were saviors, and in stopping him. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that. So it's just something to keep in the forefront of your mind. Now, on the other hand, I actually think they shouldn't necessarily ban these videos. I think, give people the opportunity to discuss and debunk and debate, and, commentators like me the opportunity to critique without pulling them down and us having to go through archives or, other websites to get the information. I think that does more to actually harm successful discourse and commentary and engagement with other individuals. If we're not able to see the speeches, it makes people think like, oh, what are they hiding? And then it lends people like Adolf Hitler, unfortunately, credibility, because now you're blocking people from seeing it, speeches that they can find elsewhere. So I just think, like, let it rock, and then have people come out and, give their critiques, and I think, there will be a number of people that unfortunately buy into, the small snippet of the speech they saw, but there will be other people that actually, listen and look at the full scope of history to get a better understanding of the character of Hitler and who he was, and hopefully, history does not repeat itself. But as the Bible says, there is nothing new under the sun. All right. This next story, speaking of censorship, this one is interesting. Hold up. Here we go. All right, this is from user Tim Young. Coca-Cola won't let you personalize a can with Jesus, but allows Satan and Allah. Why do they discriminate against Christianity?
So at the Coke store, you can personalize a message. You can put Allah loves you. Or you could even put, let me see, let's just try it out. Buddha loves you. But you cannot even type in the word Jesus.
Whoa.
We cannot allow this text on the can. Everything else is good, though. Even if I put, let's see, Satan.
Oh, no, bro.
Hold on.
Wow.
Satan loves you. You could put that. You could put Satan loves you, Allah loves you, Buddha loves you. But when you type in this word, You can't even type the word in. That's crazy. That's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. That is insane. You can't type the name Jesus on a Coke can. And by the way, like Christianity aside, there are actually people who have the name Jesus. They can't have a personalized can to them, but Satan can. Satan can get his own personalized Coke can, but Jesus Christ, Lord and Savior, cannot. That is crazy town. And somebody had to intentionally do it to block out the name. And they do give that prompt, like, if we made a mistake, you can call us. Sadly, we cannot automatically allow this text on the can. And it goes on to say, there is good news. If this is a mistake, please speak to a store representative and they will happily review the system decision. You can decline a review and return to the start your personalization again. So, but why is this in here to begin with? Make it make sense. Why do you even have to go up to somebody to ask them, hey, you made a mistake? That shouldn't be programmed in there. Somebody had to program this machine to reject the name of Jesus. They had to go out of their way to do it. Not Allah, not Satan, not Buddha, Jesus. And it is very clear to me, and this may seem trivial, Ryan, it's just a Coke can, what's the big deal? It's a big deal because we just see consistently over and over and over again a bias toward Christians, where there are exceptions made for every other religion under the sun, even Satanism, but not Christianity. And this is one of those things that just kind of confirms that and reaffirms that. And it's really just wild to me. It's wild to me that this type of thing happens. It's wild to me that Christians are censored and our overall values are derided, and it's okay to openly mock and deride us, but every other religion is off limits. Very weird to me. Very strange. All right. Speaking of Christianity, we have more to discuss. Oh. All right. So this is a tweet from Matt Walsh responding to another tweet that we'll be covering. It's a little bit long of a video, but Walsh writes, I love when Christians who have never made any impact on culture try to tell me how to make an impact on culture. Now, I will disagree a little bit because, Phil Vischer did kind of, make a little bit of an impact on culture. He is the creator of VeggieTales, which I do think was
this was the kicker from Matt Walsh.
Success overall. I mean, I was not a Christian. Even I heard of VeggieTales. I always thought it was dumb when I wasn't a Christian. I never watched it. I thought it was silly. Like, I didn't find anything appealing about, talking vegetables. But, since, marrying a Christian and actually watching it, it wasn't terrible, at least the original content that he made. So I do think he made some sort of cultural impact, but, since then, he's kind of been irrelevant. VeggieTales was the only significant thing he's ever accomplished, and that's it. He tried and failed to. He wanted to make like a competitor to Disney, and that failed. He wasn't able to get that off the ground. I think he's still working on VeggieTales content, but anyway, this person takes a little bit of the snippets from this video, and we'll read these in a little bit. We'll just play the video and we'll talk about it.
This was the kicker from Matt Walsh, because Matt Walsh pushed back and said, I have no regrets about the methods we used and would happily do it again. And then he added, the real dividing line is between those of us who are willing to do what it takes to win the culture war and those of us who are not.
Oh.
Yep. Yep.
There it is.
And that is the dividing line. Absolute. That is exactly the dividing line. That is very true.
So
you
you
cannot
agree?
follow
You're going on record to say you agree with Matt Walsh.
in one very narrow respect. You cannot follow the Sermon on the Mount and engage
Look at how smarmy this guy looks. Like a little worm.
in a culture war. Yes, so there is a dividing line. Absolutely. So there's this, principle in Judaism about what it is when you save a life, you save the world. And so to deceive in order to protect life, I mean, I'm all for it. Absolutely. To deceive my wife when she asks, did I put a lot of thought into Valentine's Day? That's self-preservation. I'm all for that too. To deceive in order to own the libs, may it never be, Phil. May it never be.
And let's be clear, it's not just deceive to own the libs, it's deceive to own the libs that in a movie that you will make millions of dollars distributing.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a self-interest in here. There's a financial interest.
It's also, it's deceiving for entertainment value.
Exactly.
Because there are a whole bunch of other ways that you could make a point that you disagree with diversity, equity, and inclusion programs.
Right.
Other than making fun of the people who promote them for money. So, okay. So we're pretty sure. So we're not exactly sure where the line is, but we're pretty sure.
We're sure we're getting close to Denny on this one.
Pretty sure the Ten Boom family is on one line and Matt Walsh is on the other line.
Yeah, but that quote that he has at the end, I think that it's not just about lying, and it's not just about this movie. Obviously, this is the ethic that animates so much of the Christian subculture right now. It is if you inflate the fear that everything is on the line, the world is going to burn, the country is going to be destroyed, the churches are going to be taken over, your children are going to be, forced out of school to have a sex change operation, whatever. Like these are things that are being told to people. If everything is on the line, then it justifies abandoning the way of Jesus in order to do what's necessary to save yourself and those you love. And that's what he's saying is
that's right.
It's wrong on so many levels.
If you have to set aside the commands of Jesus in order to fulfill what you think is Jesus's agenda, we can be sure it's no longer Jesus you're following. Right?
That's it.
All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming along.
And they're following the right Jesus. The Jesus that affirms everybody and says you're okay just the way you are. They're okay with progressive Christianity. They're okay with some instances. So it's only when Christians are actually making any headway in the culture that suddenly it's a problem to transgress the commands of God, which I don't think Matt Walsh is doing. Yes, he is deceiving these people, but he's making a film, and a film pointing out something that is blatantly evil. And there is deception used in the Bible, by the way. And some of the good people using deception in the Bible for an overall greater purpose. I can think of Rahab the spy. She ended up. There's an instance where she lied, and they were asking her. I think. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can pull this up. All right. So then the king. Here we go. Then the king of Jericho sent to Rahab, singing, "Bring out the men who have come to you, who entered your house, for they have come to search out all the land." But the woman had taken the two men and hidden them. And then she said, "True, the men came to me, but I did not know where they were from. And when the gate was about to be closed at dark, the men went out. I do not know where the men went. Pursue them quickly, for you will overtake them." But she had brought them up to the roof and hid them with the stalks of flask that she had laid in order on the roof. So the men pursued after them on the way to the Jordan as far as the fords, and the gates was shut as soon as the pursuers had gone out. So here's an issue where Rahab lies, and God doesn't have a problem with it because she's protecting his people. From their enemies. And, we can think of other instances like this, like, um, German citizens hiding Jews from Nazis. I think, morally justifiable. And I think, yeah, using a little bit of deception to capture the insanity of these woke leftists is morally acceptable. And I don't think Jesus is going to have a problem with it. You know, he's letting them fall on their own swords. You'd be actually surprised with some of the things that God actually endorses. I'm reminded of Elijah and the prophets of Baal. God actually, so this is the Christianity I wish we had, but we don't actually have. So Elijah is mocking the prophets of Baal, and making fun of them as they're dancing and self-harming themselves to get the attention of their fake god. And he's making fun of them, basically saying, is your god taking a dump or something like that? Like, so he is mocking them openly, brazenly. And then what does God do? God endorses the mockery and burns and obliterates the altar, demonstrating his power and his might. So this to me is just another form of weak and pathetic Christianity that accomplishes nothing and does nothing and gives empty platitudes and only pulls us further left. And then you have people like Matt Walsh, who's actually changing things for the better, by exposing these people. He did it with freaking What is a Woman? He was able to successfully get clinic shut down and bring transgenderism and what they're doing to children in particular into conversation. He made that mainstream by talking about it. And yeah, he deceived these wicked, evil people into making fools of themselves. Not his fault. They're too stupid and too evil to contain themselves. Same with the people with Am I a Racist? If you watch that movie, he should have been horrified at the people that Matt Walsh was exposing. And by the way, how the hell do you do investigative journalism if you can't go undercover and you can't, I guess, deceive people in a way to bring light to something evil happening? We would have never known that Planned Parenthood was selling dead babies' body parts without the work of David Daleiden. We wouldn't have known that because he's an investigative journalist and he's going undercover to expose great evil. And, we wouldn't know half the things we know about all these woke companies without the work of great journalists like James O'Keefe, who go undercover and expose what these psychopaths are doing. We need to be able to shine a light on individuals. Now, I do think you cross the line if, you're doing stuff that is just blatantly immoral to get your point across. But making a movie to mock these people, I don't think is that. I don't think mockery also is unchristian. I think it's entirely appropriate to mock evil. And we need to do more of it. The type of mockery, by the way, that God doesn't like is when people make a mockery of his commandments. When they make a mockery of his word and his standard of righteousness, that's the type of mockery that he doesn't like. But mocking evil, I don't think he'd have a problem with it at all. Showcasing these demonic psychopaths, I don't think he'd have a problem with it at all. For anybody who hasn't watched the movie, I very much encourage you to go do so. Because there are some moments in that movie that were hilarious, by the way. It was a very funny, well done, creative movie. But there were some scenes where you can't believe people are this evil. and that brazenly evil. And these are the people that control our institutions. These are the people that are forcing their employees to go through diversity, equity, and inclusion training. These are the people that are treating whiteness like it's a disease. These are the people that make you feel ashamed for the color of your skin. They are evil, and evil needs to be exposed. And I'm tired of these soft Christians. It's pathetic. He goes on to say, here reading a little bit more, there are a whole bunch of other ways that you could get a point that you disagree with DEI programs other than making fun of the people who promote them for money. Like what? Speaking into podcast? Like that's been effective. Like that's had any cultural relevance. And the other methods, like I'm sure he wouldn't agree with O'Keefe's methods. The true answer is that there is no way that's acceptable for these people because they have this hippie Jesus as their God and they are divorced from the real Jesus. And they have no problem sitting on their high horse condemning people who are actually making a difference, who are actually changing the culture, who by the way, got this message into movies all over America. Humor is an effective tool in getting your point across. And mocking your enemies is also very effective. And Matt Walsh did such a good job in this that even some of his enemies, even some of the people that disagree with him went and saw it, and they were exposed to the insanity of these race hustlers. But Phil doesn't want to acknowledge that. And then he also chastises him for making money. What's wrong with making money? I don't, there's no problem. There's nothing unbiblical about making money. It only becomes a problem when it's love of money. But I can tell you this, I do not think Matt Walsh is primarily motivated by making money. I think he sincerely cares about this woke racist ideology infesting our institutions. You want to know how I know that? Because I have listened and followed Walsh's work since before he was ever working for the Daily Wire. I started reading his work in 2014. And this is stuff that he has always talked about and always cared about. It wasn't about the money. It was about getting the message across. And I'm sure he has no problem making money while doing the same thing, as I wouldn't. I wouldn't have any problem with that. But his primary motivation is exposing these unhinged lunatics. And that is a good thing. There's another statement. This is the ethic that animates so much of Christian subculture right now. If you inflate their fear of everything is on the line, the world is going to burn, the country is going to be destroyed, the churches are going to be taken over, your children are going to be forced out of school to have sex change operations, whatever. These are the things that are being told to people. If everything's on the line, then it justifies abandoning the way of Jesus in order to do what's necessary. But they seem to think that Jesus would be okay with any of these things. And he wouldn't. Jesus would not be okay with transing kids and trans ideology in schools. He would not be okay with pride parades or pride celebrations happening in schools. He would not be okay with drag queens in the church. He would not be okay with any of these things these progressive Christians think are acceptable, because they're not. Jesus tells us as Christians, the Bible says, to flee from sexual immorality, to have nothing to do with darkness, but yet expose it. And that is exactly what is happening. And that is a good thing. And we need more Christians, more believers who are bold enough to do just that. These people are pathetic. All right. Speaking of exposing wokeness, so this is a post from this website called The Park Place. Sweet Baby Inc. employee admits goal is burning the gaming industry down. So I've commented about wokeness in video games, and just for those of you who might be unfamiliar, Sweet Baby Inc. is a company that is largely responsible for wokeness in video games. And this is one of their employees. The same employee that wants to burn the gaming industry to the ground because he has an ideology behind everything that he's doing. And they are successful and have been successful in destroying video games. All right. A Sweet Baby Inc. employee named Cameron Wild, who claims to be non-binary. There's no such thing as non-binary. That's absolute garbage and nonsense. It's not real. It's an imaginary, fictitious identity that is rooted and grounded in insanity. Who claims to be non-binary, admitted that his goal is burning down the gaming industry. In a presentation titled "How to Get Away with Murder: Subverting Genre Expectations at the Game Developers of Color Expo." This is exactly, too, by the way, why we need people like Matt Walsh and why we need people exposing these unhinged psychos. Discovered by YouTuber Kirsch, Wild introduces himself saying he is a narrative designer and sensitivity reader. A sensitivity reader with a company called Sweet Baby Inc. And what a sensitivity reader is, by the way, is a person that will go through materials, content, scripts, video games, and make sure that it's inclusive enough. That's what they do. So this is just newspeak before that. These are the people that are going to be rewriting your books and your literature to be acceptable to our woke overlords. So these are the same people, you know, I think the company that whoever, I guess, is responsible for Dr. Seuss's work now, they hired sensitivity readers to rewrite some of the books. So yeah, so that's happening. And these same sensitivity readers are responsible for wokeifying video games. Wild, according to Moby Games, worked on Tales of Zenzara, Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, which, by the way, did awful, performed awful, and was just overall awful. It was a terrible game and didn't go anywhere. Alan Wake 2, The Crew, Motorfest, Kingdom 80s, and God of War Ragnarok. They then declared, "The stories that we tell each other are way more than entertainment. They are how we create debate and preserve our collective values and beliefs. And we can and should make a better, more expansive, more representational content." And when they say representational, this is newspeak for not white. They want to represent everybody that's not white or male. All right. Then in a slide titled "Cool, so why am I here?" one of the bullet points states burning the gaming industry to the ground. We want cooler stories, a safer world, and burning the gaming industry to the ground. So one of the bullet points states, to prove that space where whiteness doesn't have to live is where some of the best stories are told. And here it is. Here is why we need people like Matt Walsh, because we have these people, these psychopaths that are controlling institutions and controlling content that our children are consuming. to prove that a space where whiteness doesn't have to live. Whiteness doesn't have to live. By the way, we exist in this world and we do need to live. And what he's saying, the best stories aren't told by white people. Anybody is capable of telling a good story, not just people of color. And by the way, your rewrites have been less than superb. So you're not exactly making a good case for yourself. Wild explained a lot of us who are really fighting for more inclusive games and storytelling don't have a choice when it comes to discomfort. A lot of us who are just existing don't have a choice. You're not just existing. You're coming in with an agenda, which makes this really hard often. But recently I started realizing that discomfort, or the place where whiteness doesn't have to live, is some of where the best stories are told, and it's where genre storytelling lives. Later in the presentation, Weil explains why Blazing Saddles is his favorite film, the reason why I love it, beyond some of Mel Brooksian's slapstick humor and fart jokes, whatever. Anyway, the point is that these people will stop at nothing, honestly, to continue to destroy the gaming space and remake it in their woke image. But the good news is there are some companies. I'm gonna skip ahead in this story a little bit because it's a little immodest, and I don't like sharing. All right. So, all right. So, Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts dev studio Square Enix appears to have ended working relationship with Sweet Baby Inc. So, per an archive of the project section of Sweet Baby Inc.'s official website, at least as recently as August, the Final Fantasy Rebirth developer was listed alongside such fellow studios as Electronic Arts, Ubisoft, and Warner Bros. Games as one of the most notorious DI-centric video game companies, as companies' many AAA level clients. So here you see their clients, and here you see Square Enix is listed. And just so that you know, this is a good list of who is infected by the woke mind virus in the gaming culture. So you got Xbox Studios, Electronic Arts, Valve, which is very disappointing, Ubisoft, Warner Bros. Those are the big ones jumping out at me. Wizards. However, as discovered by users across social media earlier this morning, it seems Square Enix is no longer choosing to engage with Sweet Baby Inc. services, as their logo has now been completely removed, from Sweet Baby Inc.'s publicly displayed client list, which I think is good news. Maybe they're starting to wake up and see that this stuff doesn't pay, that the wokeness doesn't pay, and that nobody wants it. Nobody wants it. I talked yesterday. I don't have it anymore. I talked yesterday about how they're remaking Legacy of Kain and the Soul Reaver games 1 and 2, and how they changed a female statue into like a trans statue. They trans the statue in the game, and people are sick of it. They don't want it. They don't want to live in your woke dystopian nightmare. We just want to play video games. That's it. Yes, we want a good story, but you don't need to erase any remnants of the old story and put in your woke nonsense to make it a good story. Leave things as they are. And instead of focusing on making sure it's inclusive, why don't you make sure the stories are good and the stories are worth telling? That's what's important. When I was playing video games, I never even thought about the races of the characters or even the sexes of the characters. That didn't matter to me if it was a good story. But when I know they're trying to do it, when I know that's the intention behind it, it's off-putting to me. Just tell a good story. We're sick of this. Oh, I thought this is actually a really good response to some of the sweet baby ink stuff. And I agree a lot with this guy's tweet. So this is from a guy named V. Here's why gamers constantly reject wokeness. The overwhelming majority of people do not agree with their with gender abolition ideology. Yeah, yeah, we still believe in this radical idea that there's only male and female. Your average person does not buy into the radical idea that you can transcend your gender. We don't buy it. You think they do because Twitter and social media was banning the ones that disagree with you, but in reality, you are just a fringe extremist. Yep. As such, we do not enjoy seeing women drawn or depicted as men in games. Nope. Would you believe it or not? We prefer our women to stay women. We do not like it when they act like toxic dudes and any traditional normal concepts of femininity is erased. We do not like it when they overtly masculinize features such as strong jawline, small breasts, and any other signifier that the artist adds in order to make the character gender ambiguous, which is exactly what they're doing. They're doing this with Tomb Raider, Laura Croft, and they're doing this with I've never played the game Zero Dawn Horizon, something like that. They're doing it that character, and they just consistently do it. What I've just described here is reality. You can choose to deny it, pretend you don't understand what I mean by this, complain about the words I use or the syntax rather than the spirit of the message, or gaslight people that they are weirdos for not wanting gender abolition. But at the end of it, they will still refuse to buy your game and mock you for trying to sell it. Correct. Safe anti-capitalist themes. Games like Forspoken that have overt communist messages regarding private property or stuff like capitalism is evil and other such nonsense that has been overdone to death by now. AAA games that are peddled by multi-billion-dollar corporations. Yeah, that's rich to me. Capitalism is evil. Buy my video game. The level of cognitive dissonance is wild. They are the last entities in the world that we should hear about when it comes to criticism about capitalism. The only thing they ever do is safe anti-capitalist messages, where they never have the banker as the bad guy or the NGO that's ran by relatives of politicians to money launder the taxpayer dime at the taxpayer dime. Blatant references to real world politics. Yeah, we don't like that at all. Just gonna keep that. Complete war. Skip that. Complete war on heteronormativity. Ah, yes, the evil male gaze. All women in games need to hag max like in the Concord. I've not played this game. Meanwhile, the men are shirtless with pecs and muscles and LGBT flags everywhere. Newsflash: the majority of the human population is not gay. Yeah, radical. Most of us aren't gay. Most of us don't want gayness in our games. Most of us don't think companies should be pandering to the smallest fraction of the demographics that are buying their games. And while having the game is not necessarily a problem, going out of your way to remove all female characters with big breasts and blah 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 blah, as well as any feminine personality, because a guy could see them, is just blatant hatred towards non-gay people, aka the majority of your consumer base. Now, I will say one thing here, right? I do think the overt sexualization of women in games probably not good. You know, look, I'm not saying we have to make all the women flat chest, right? You know, because reality is there are women with large breasts, right? But I think like games like Mortal Kombat. I mean, I don't support sexualizing women either. I'm not down with that. Okay. And I know that that's not popular, but at the end of the day, I'm a Christian. There's a reason I skipped over the immodest images prior in the article I was reading, and it's because I don't think that's modest. But I also don't think we need to make women less feminine. So, yeah. Anyway, he says, "We see you. We know what you're doing. Get help. Get help. Get help. Hiring activists and toxic community managers, inclusivity. Yeah, I've talked about this. Anyway, you can read the post. It's very good, and I largely agree with everything that this guy had to say. They need to stop this nonsense. They really do. All right, Zuckerberg. Let's talk about Zuckerberg. All right. So this is from Leading Reports. Mark Zuckerberg is reportedly now aligned with libertarian ideology and has hired a Republican strategist to repair his relationship with right-wing media and operatives after years of censorship. Zuckerberg is on his hero arc, guys. He is. He's been hanging out with more right-wing figures since he's been getting involved in MMA. Testosterone is now returning to his veins, and he is coming to the light. And I only give it a little bit of time before he's actually full blown conservative. So this is good news. This is a positive development. We want some, big tech CEOs that aren't unhinged leftists. Also, I suspect that he probably wants to make money. And I think alienating a large portion of your base, a large portion of the people that use your product is a massive mistake, as we have seen with Sweet Baby Inc. And I think he's also a little disenchanted because he does realize and see that the Biden administration and these leftists tried to pressure him into or into doing things that he did not want to do with his company and act as an arm of censorship for the government. So I think he's finally come to his senses, and I think this is again a step in the right direction. I like this, and I'm glad that that he's going to stop censoring conservatives. Now, am I completely bought in? No, but I have to say I've been using Threads a little bit more, and I don't see a discernible difference in my ability to speak there than I do on Twitter. I'll be honest with you. In fact, I actually feel like I'm able to speak a little bit more freely on Threads than I am on Twitter. So riddle me that. That's a little weird. Anyway, I think this is good news. I guess while we're on that topic, I think it's time to just kind of talk briefly about my Twitter ban. So for those of you who were unaware and have watched this show regularly, I have been banned from Twitter. I got a ban during one of my live streams, and it happened out of nowhere. If I'm being completely honest, it caught me by surprise. I'll show you real quick. You can see here, your account is suspended, is not permitted. Refresh that. Is not permitted to perform this action. So this account is suspended. I can't do anything on it other than it's in read only. So that happened during the end of one of my live streams. It caught me by surprise. I thought it was a mistake. I later got a prompt that I could appeal the decision, so I tried and attempted to do that. And unfortunately, it did not work. So they gave me this option to submit an appeal. And it reads, your account is suspended. After careful review, we determined your account broke the X rules. Your account is permanently in read-only mode, which means you can't post, repost, or like content. You won't be able to create new accounts. If you think we got this wrong, you could submit an appeal. Now, I did go ahead and submit an appeal. I've submitted multiple appeals and radio silence. And by the way, This is the only this information, right? This little message right here is the only information that they've given me. They have suspended my account simply because I broke the X rules, whatever the hell that means. I don't know what that means. I don't know what I specifically did, and they did it without giving me an opportunity to rectify the situation. See, on other platforms, even TikTok, you are at least if you get a strike, you're actually able to appeal up for a specific piece of content. You're able to appeal it. They don't just outright nuke your entire account. But here, I did something that I don't even know what I did. They didn't explain it, and then they nuked my entire account. An account I spent years building. Years, man. I joined in 2009. That's crazy to me that they could just take that away and not give me any recourse. Now they did give me the option to submit an appeal, but guess what happens when you submit that appeal? Nothing. Nothing happens. There's no response. And two, prior to getting suspended, I got demonetized. I didn't know why I got demonetized. Suddenly, I was just demonetized, and they said for promoting violence. I don't promote violence ever. I don't support it. I'm against violence generally. And so they banned me. They didn't give me a post. They didn't give me specifics. They just kicked me out of the program. So I tried to appeal that. Never heard anything from that. And then suddenly I am banned without reason, without explanation, from my Twitter account that I spent the better part of 15 years building. That is unacceptable. And so far, I've heard nothing. Even when I was trying to reach out to their premium support, you don't get any help. They don't answer you. That you're not talking to real human beings. I suspect nearly all of this is automated. That they're having AI do all the replies and review all the cases, and they've completely eliminated human intervention. You know, at first I thought it was a good idea for Elon Musk to fire, a lot of the people that work for Twitter, but now I'm like, not if you don't replace them. AI robots can't understand nuance. All right? You need real human beings that can look at these accounts and make a case that they actually did violate the terms of service, and then offer them a pathway back, not just permanently suspend their account. Like, thankfully, I didn't make a tremendous amount of money in the monetization program, so it's not my livelihood. But for some people, they do. It is their livelihood. They do make money, and I can imagine logging onto a platform and then suddenly that's taken away from you, and you don't even know why, and you can't get an explanation. And that's exactly what happened here, and it's very frustrating. But the good news is, I did make a new account, and I have been able to reconnect with a lot of my former associates, and they've been largely supportive. So this is my new account, Arcam Media. Rest in peace, Arcam TV. I will miss you. But we're growing. I've had I want to give a shout out to No Soup for Knowles, Britta, and everybody else that shared my content. Cly, she helped too. And a bunch of you guys have helped me amplify this message so that maybe it can catch the ears of Elon Musk, and I appreciate it. And the thing that had bothered me the most about losing my account is not losing all my posts, is not losing my DMs, isn't even the time that I've spent investing in the account. It is the network that I had, the relationships that I had. the people that I was connected to. Now I'm building that back, but it's going to take a while, and that was what's most important to me. And another thing is, I ratioed Megan Kelly, and I missed that tweet. It's a proud moment for me, and that's gone. Twitter, Elon Musk has taken that away from me, and it's very heartbreaking. But I do just want to give a shout out to everybody who's refollowed me and shared my content to help amplify the message. It's not lost on me, and you make X a more enjoyable place, and you are the reason that I will continue to fight to be on the platform. Whether I get my old account back or not, I'm going to stay on the platform because I like having these relationships and these friendships. Some of them are legitimate friendships, and they aren't lost on me. Anyway, I think that is going to do it for me today. I appreciate you guys. Please follow my new Twitter account at Arcam Media. Follow me on Rumble, the only place that is truly free speech. Like, share, and subscribe, and comment and let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear from you. I hope you guys have a blessed evening. Deuces.